Am I the a-hole for calling out my kid's future stepmom for treating me like a surrogate? I, 29 female, dated a guy Joe, 30 male, for 3 months before he left me to go back to his ex, Kim, 30 female. Right after we broke up, I found out I was pregnant, and now I'm at 24 weeks. I let him know, and he was ecstatic. Turns out, his girlfriend had fertility issues and would likely never be able to get pregnant naturally, and he has always wanted to be a father. Getting back together was out of the question for both of us, so he's still with his girlfriend. Joe was only allowed at the initial appointment because of COVID-19, and we found out I was having twins. According to Joe, when he told Kim, she had a mental breakdown about her infertility and wanted to talk to me. I met them at their house, and Kim stated that she wanted to be involved in my pregnancy because she would eventually be the children's stepmother. She started telling me that I needed to do a home birth, that I needed to formula feed so that they could have the babies half of the week, that she wanted one boy and one girl, and that she wanted the kid to call her mama since they would be calling me mommy. I shut her down and said I would make the best choices for my children and my body and left. Kim continued to be overbearing and texting me every day about my eating habits, exercise habits, and witching about how her job wouldn't let her take maternity leave. Then at the virtual genetics counseling appointment, she attended instead of Joe and took over the whole meeting trying to talk about her family history, which wasn't relevant. When it came time for my 20-week level 2 scan, they allowed me one guest, and Joe suggested I take Kim instead of him, which I refused to do. Joe did end up coming, and he found out the gender because I wanted to keep it a surprise for me so we could throw a gender reveal party. I put a pregnancy announcement on my social media, and then she put up an announcement saying they were expecting twins the non-traditional way and how blessed she was. I was irritated, but I kept my mouth shut. Then she threw a gender reveal party and posted it on social media. I wasn't even invited. She also announced that she's having a baby shower. I commented on her posts and told her to stop treating me like a surrogate, that kids weren't hers, and that Joe didn't have any claim or custody of the kids until they're born. I then called Joe and reiterated all of this and stated that I would not be seeing either of them until we went to family court, and that my mother would be my birthing partner. He and Kim and some of her friends and family are saying I'm an a-hole, and her mother even called and insisted I give her one of my babies like this is the parent trap? So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. OP, I'm not being dramatic in any way when I say this. Get a lawyer now. Keep records of everything. And whatever you do, do not allow yourself to be alone with Kim. Almost none of Kim's behavior is okay. It's in fact disturbing. Block phone numbers. File a police report for harassment if you have to. Keep yourself and your children safe. Edit. I was so disturbed by this post, I had to come back and add that assuming OP is from the US, she can go through her state bar association's lawyer's diary and find a lawyer that specializes in family law. Get a consultation and take no prisoners. Someone else here commented that you're being treated like an incubator, and that couldn't be any closer to the truth. Stay away from baby daddy as well. This is all very, very shady. And Kim's mother suggesting they split the twins between parents? WTHF. OP was right when she said she wasn't being treated as a mother, but a surrogate. I would go so far as to say the twins are seen as objects as well. OP needs to lawyer up and play hardball about custody. Kim's not going to get better here. She has people enabling her behavior. Not even a surrogate. Surrogates get paid, I believe. She's being treated as an incubator. Yay. Not the a-hole. What in the hell did I just read? Lawyer. Court. Document everything and distance the hell away from them. That woman is insane. You need to talk to a family lawyer about how to protect yourself against Joe and Kim trying to gain custody out from under you ASAP. And Kim needs to see a therapist because she really is treating you like a surrogate and it's incredibly creepy. Joe not telling her to stay in her lane is also a serious problem. Not the a-hole. Edit. I'm definitely getting a lawyer ASAP. Y'all have scared the crap out of me, but I'm happy you did. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole? Family cut me off financially, wants me home this weekend, so I said they'll have to pay me. I'm a student. My parents set aside some money yonks ago, so when I went off to university, I could afford to go just about anywhere. This wasn't a tuition thing as we're in the UK, so I was always going through Student Finance England, SFE, for that. But some areas of the country are way more expensive than others due to the cost of living, as it gets higher around the best unis. I got into a uni with a very high cost of living. My parents were giving me the money meant for me in installments, just like SFE does. I got a part-time job to top it up. Then I got pregnant. I figured I could keep the baby, provided I didn't suddenly lose any income. My parents then decided to stop giving me the money they set aside for me, saying it was for my education only. I then went over my options again and realized I would have to go full-time to just make ends meet, which I did, but I had to make a lot of compromises to make it work. It's been like this for about a year. I gave birth late last August, making my daughter just over 7 months old. Myself, my parents, my sister have all had our first jabs, and none is fully vaxxed. Dad's birthday is this Friday, and Nan's is on Tuesday. So my parents want me and my sister to drive to Nan's house this weekend to celebrate both events. I've said I can't afford it. It's a 6-hour drive each way, so I'll miss at least 1, most likely 2, days of work. My parents asked me to rearrange what I could, pointing out that I should get money from SFE next month. It actually came a week ago, so I can afford to miss work for a couple days. They said as they haven't met the baby yet, and we've not seen each other in a year, they want to see us now. I said if they want to see us, they can pay me as I can't afford to lose any wages now that they've cut me off. But they said that's incredibly unfair of me, and they can't believe I'd try and guilt trip them over what they did with their money. I offered to FaceTime my sister, who could put me on with Mom, Dad, and Nan if I had time, but they said me mentioning time constraints was further guilt-tripping, and I shouldn't expect them to pay for my presence, that I was being tactless and selfish, and that if I attend, they don't want to hear about money. I told them that they've created this situation, and if they're seriously shocked that I can't afford to take cross-country trip with 2 days' notice, then they have no clue what the real world is like for someone who is a full-time student, a full-time worker, and a single mother, so now I have an appearance fee. My sister's boyfriend also got his SFE loan early like it did, so she said that I already have the money from SFE, and that me wanting an appearance fee is greedy and entitled, bordering extortion, and that I'm trying to make our parents feel guilty about money I have no right to. Am I the a-hole? Info. For people suggesting they visit me, I have a 1-bedroom in a not super touristy town. Nan's house is a 5-bed/2.5 bath, less than 2 minutes walking from the beach, down south. The idea behind suggesting Nan's house was that we could all head down on Friday or Saturday, stay over, then head back Sunday. Not day hole. If they want to see you without paying for your travel time, they can travel to you. What they're asking of you is not financially neutral. Making this trip would cause you to lose money you can't afford to lose. You aren't lying by saying you literally can't afford to go unless they help you out. Yeah, people are pissed off by the phrase appearance fee, but that's extraneous information. She can't afford to travel because they backed out on funding her education. They can easily afford to help her travel. She's not the a-hole for pointing that out. Exactly. I'm a full-time student and work part-time and I'm dying. Can you imagine working full-time, plus studying full-time, plus being a full-time parent, plus other adult responsibilities that take time and money? Jesus Christ. Not the a-hole. She's the only true adult in this. Not the a-hole. I realize it's your parents' money to use at their own discretion, but they had to realize cutting you off at your most vulnerable, and at a time of life when you need support most, was going to drive a wedge between you. They don't now get to demand your presence on little notice. I do think it was a little tactless to call it an appearance fee, but whatever you're feeling, if it's bitterness or anger, you came by it honestly. They also don't get to play the "we've never met the baby" card when their actions contributed to your inability to come home as you now work full-time. And frankly, if they really want to foster a relationship with you and your child, they're going to have to understand that you're under a lot of financial constraints. They had a choice to make it not quite as drastic, or they could even have said, "We'll pay for the gas," / "We'll give you X amount of money to make up for the travel time." My parents did this a couple times when they wanted me to come to family functions that I just didn't have the money for. They could have given you more time, or if this were really about seeing you and your child, they could have made time or made plans to come to you. Especially since the money was set aside for education and OP is still a student. Full-time, I think? It seems to me the condition of getting the money from parents was to pay for costs of living while getting an education, and OP is still fulfilling that, despite also having a baby. Now the parents aren't holding up their end of the deal, or they changed their terms too and you can't have a kid. If their goal was to punish OP for being irresponsible and getting pregnant, congratulations! You now have a responsible child that recognizes that they can't drop work on a whim because they need to provide for their own baby. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for ignoring my mom for 2 weeks now? I'm 19, female and only child, and I grew up with very affectionate parents. They love to kiss me, and I still sometimes sleep on their bed with them. Overall, you could say my relationship with my parents is relatively good. We live in an apartment with 2 rooms, one for me and one for them. A living room, a kitchen/dining area, 1 toilet, and 1 toilet and bath. My story starts about 2 weeks ago. It was just me and my mom inside our home since my dad had to go to work. I was showering at around 6 p.m. after I worked out, and while I usually lock the door whenever I'm inside, I didn't at that time since I was comfortable around my mom and we were both girls anyway. Suddenly, the bathroom door opened. I thought it was my mom, but I found it strange that the door closed immediately as it was opened. I had just applied facial wash when it happened, so I couldn't really see what's going on. When I went finished my bath, my mom suddenly started screaming at me and calling me names. SLUT, you little flirt, etc, etc. I didn't understand her sudden outburst until I saw my dad walking out of their room, and it was then that I realized it must have been my dad who opened the door while I was showering. Although my dad assured my mom and me that he didn't know I was in there and didn't see anything and it was purely accidental, my mom still berated me for not being careful and that it was my fault. Her words really hurt me, which resorted to me ignoring her for more than 2 weeks now. She would try to get my attention and start to touch/hug me again, but I ignore all of them. Am I the a-hole for doing such thing? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, and frankly, your mom might have insecurity issues if she's worried about your dad doing anything to you with no prior issues happening. All you did was not lock the door, and all he did was walk in and out from what I'm reading. Honestly, if I was the dad, I would be reconsidering my relationship with my wife if she thinks I would want to be inappropriate with my own daughter. WTF? If I was the dad, I'd be extra horrified that not only does she think I'd want to be inappropriate with my daughter, but that it would be the daughter's fault and would warrant calling her an S. Not the a-hole. Sorry, your mom is messed up. She is literally sexualizing the fact that your dad maybe saw a glimpse of you naked. Even if he had seen you fully naked, calling you an S is so freaking wrong. That implies that you are trying to seduce your dad. So for her to be upset about this, she would have to believe that you would get some kind of gratification from your dad seeing you naked, and possibly that your dad would get something out of it too. Not the a-hole, and your relationship with your parents is anything but normal. Stop sleeping with them. Last story is titled, Would I be the a-hole if I kicked out my existing affair baby when she turns 18, even though she is a great child? Hello. This is sort of a different scenario than some of the affair baby posts on here. I knew this girl was not mine from the beginning, and her mother told me while she was still pregnant. She cheated on me because at the time I lost my job and I might have been permanently disabled, so we divorced while she was still pregnant. I somehow was able to defy the odds and recovered almost entirely, found a new job, and became quite successful. I originally did not get custody of my 3 biological daughters, confirmed with DNA testing, because my injury left me unable to take care of them. However, eventually I was able to show I would be the more fit parent, and the custody situation reversed. I got my 3 daughters, and they occasionally spent weekends with their stepdad and mom. This is where the problems began. Stepdad was racist, and my daughters are mixed. I'm black. After obtaining proof of this, their mom lost custody entirely, and even lost custody of their bio child for other reasons. Now, I love my daughters, and they were always sad when their little sister was left crying when they got to go to fun places with me and she did not. My daughters eventually encouraged me to take her along too. Long story short, This girl started getting really attached to me because I was the most stable parent she had in her life, I guess. She tried to call me dad after her dad left her mom and went no contact. While I was able to shut that down, she has referred to me as uncle. Eventually, this girl moved into my house after repeatedly running away to come stay with us. That's a whole other story. But basically, my daughters pressured me all along because they didn't want their sister abandoned without them. Now she's 18 and about to graduate high school. She is, in all honesty, a great kid who never makes trouble for me. However, the sight of her still makes me incredibly sad. I feel like I have put on a face while around her, and I regret keeping the charade up this long because she even gets me Father's Day cards and stuff. I'm not racist, but the fact that I'm black and she is white makes it so obvious she's not mine that it hurts. Ultimately, I probably wouldn't kick her out, but she has expressed that she wants to live here for a few more years while going to a local college. She had a whole detailed plan that she showed me on her birthday, and it would ruin it if I kicked her out. Would I be the a-hole if I asked her to just leave after high school and once she had a job? You typed all that out and you don't even think you're the a-hole here? What the hell? What's happened to all those not your blood, not your problem people? Bunch of hypocrites. Or is it because he's black and is ready to move on from caring for a white half-sister of his actual kids? I'm pretty sure it's because baby mom and stepfather are neglectful and or abusive, not because he's black. If everything was okay at home, half-sister wouldn't have run away that many times. It's not even that. It's the fact that he's been in that role her whole life. Imagine having someone you view as a father dump you at 18. I had that crap happen to me, and it was traumatic. You would be the a-hole. I suggest you get therapy. If she's still a painful reminder after 18 years, you are chasing some very old demons. This is a hard one, because it's obviously painful for you. But yeah, you would be the a-hole. You've said this girl is a great kid. Her sisters love her, etc., etc. It sounds like she sees you as a father figure, so you've clearly done good things for her so far. It would cause her trauma, and probably even more daddy issues than she already may have regarding her bio if you kick her out. I don't know, maybe discuss with your bio daughters if they're old enough? I feel like there may be some resentment from them towards you if you do this. At the end of the day, she had nothing to do with her mother's affair. So if she's a good kid, please don't punish her for something she had no control over, and continue to be the father figure she has grown to love.